Good morning, folks. Second space weather impact is starting, but doing so very slowly. We've got news on the weather, earthquakes, and the sun, but let's get started over at spaceweathernews.com. We're looking at the last 24 hours on our star, revealing the bright active region turning away. You also saw it in the opening, and also visible the trailing portions of the coronal hole. Reviewing both ACE and Discover's relevant telemetry for solar wind side by side here, we see another rise in intensity overnight with orange density beginning to decline this morning, while the speed panel below it holds steady if not intensifies faster. That is the start of the coronal hole stream and will have increased solar wind and geomagnetic potential today, and given the extension of the opening across considerable northern longitudes, the intensified stream would be expected to last a few days. Let's come right to the alert from the disaster prediction app that started this week. In the past few days, when you heard me say we're at increased lithospheric watch for excess magnitude, that's magnitude 7, it was the IMF and kinetic alpha waves connecting the Earth to the Sun, with this coronal hole getting a boost from Mercury coming in to conjoin the Sun for added resonance and IMF connection potential. Last night, a deadly 7.2 earthquake struck Mexico. Turbulent area to say the least since the fall. This one struck in between where the 8-pointer and the Mexico City aftershock struck in September, and 8-pointers can have aftershocks for up to a year immediately connected to the fault lines. It appears it is continuing to do just that. A couple other notes on weather, where below average temperature and a blizzard condition shut down the largest airport in Kyrgyzstan. We also saw an avalanche claim 2 in northern Italy. Both were members of the local rescue team. We're on to the global climate report for January, and we get to play one of our favorite games, Disappearing Blue. First, here's the global map hitting the internet, the only one you are likely to see on the January global climate. But indeed, the real data looks like this. This is also from their report. Every month, we watch the blue coverage downplayed or disappeared when we see the one the media is pushing. Now, one might be able to understand blue going to white, but you can't have below average temperatures and be in the high temperature percentiles. Every month we see widespread blue disappeared in favor of white or even red. Best example on this one is the colder than average stretch from South America to Australia and up into the Indian Ocean. When we see what the media and the masses get to look at, where'd you go? Every month it's the same thing. Anyway, the Weather Channel has released their spring look. March should be a cold one in the United States, with month to month over spring increasing the temperate nature of the outlook. Top story today is somewhere around the 40th solar cycle forecast that we've shown. Always helps to get a new one. It's falling pretty much right in line with me, about 90% of the way. We've got at least one more solar maximum before a grand minimum sets in. It is not here yet. And here, the race to the pole of green line emission indicates that indeed we'll have another weaker solar cycle in the 2020s after we bottom out next year in 2019. Many of you might not realize amidst the sea of grand minimum news online that we are probably still a bit more than a decade away. We've got wind maps and shots of our star to close. Windy.com got some new graphics. Observing the Frontier presentations begin shortly. We greatly appreciate your support. We'll do this all again tomorrow, right here, but right now it's 5:20 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.